Hello and welcome, I'm Rik Glauert and here's what happened this week. A new deal that will see Taiwan's semiconductor giant TSMC invest $100 billion in US chip manufacturing will make the country stronger. That's what Taiwan's Premier Zhou Rongtai has said. But the presidential office says the plan must help, not hurt, the country's overall competitiveness. Joyce Zheng reports.
Hello, everybody.
A big announcement from the White House as U.S. President Donald Trump and TSMC Chair and CEO C.C. Wei agree on the largest foreign direct investment in the country's history. Taiwan's TSMC unveiled that its total investment to the United States will reach $165 billion. The move, a way to avoid Trump's tariff threat of 25% or higher on imported chips, as Trump eyes a larger goal of bringing chip manufacturing to the United States.
The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America. And it'll be a big percentage of the chips made by his company. But as you know, they're based mostly in Taiwan. And they're far and away the biggest. There's nobody even close.
TSMC is the unmatched leader in making advanced semiconductors, powering cutting-edge tech like AI from customers NVIDIA and Apple. The firm's head, C.C. Wei, shared details of the plan from the White House, which includes 5 more facilities to its existing over 1,001-acre site in Phoenix, Arizona, and a center dedicated to research and development.
We are going to build 3 more new fabs after we promised 3 fabs already, and another 2 very advanced packaging fab, and most important, R&D center also in Arizona.
In recent weeks, Taiwan's all-important chip industry has been in focus following Trump's tariff threats and his repeated accusations that Taiwan stole American chip business. Though Taipei does not share official diplomatic relations with Washington, the two share robust unofficial ties. The U.S. is also Taiwan's largest arms backer in the face of a Chinese threat of invasion. In Taiwan, TSMC's leadership has created a sense of protection from external threats, a so-called silicon shield. Some fear that TSMC's expansion overseas will take away from its advantage. Taiwan's premier responding to the expansion, saying it will in fact strengthen and extend Taiwan's power.
我觉得产业界去做全球的布局，对台湾都是力量的延伸。只要在合乎国家的战略
Meanwhile, in Washington, Trump was asked whether TSMC's added investment would, quote, minimize the impact to the U.S. in regard to the chip sector should China decide to isolate or take Taiwan by force.
This would certainly, I can't say minimize. That would be a catastrophic event, obviously. But it will at least give us a position where we have, in this very, very important business, we would have a very big part of it in the United States. So it would have a big impact if something should happen with Taiwan.
Though acknowledging a potential conflict over Taiwan as catastrophic, Trump did not say if TSMC's investment would come with U.S. security assurances for Taiwan. Trump and TSMC's Wei instead focusing on the thousands of high-paying jobs the added investment will create. Luffy Lee and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is facing a critical nurse shortage. Hospitals are getting overcrowded while nurses are leaving the profession en masse. Now lawmakers are proposing a new solution. Leslie Liao reports.
Crowded emergency rooms and long wait times. This is the reality facing Taiwan's healthcare system now. The crisis is made worse by a shortage of nurses. Several hundred of them are leaving the profession every month due to work stress. Now, a proposed solution is on the table, using Taiwan's male conscripts. Last year, the Defense Ministry allowed conscripts with nursing credentials to serve out their 1-year obligation at military-affiliated hospitals.
假设我们可以把护理替代役不只推动到国军医院、公立医院或是私立医院，我相信对于目前这样子的状态是可以注入一股活水。
But not all lawmakers believe this is a viable policy.
让这样子医护背景的役男拨到民间私人的医疗院所去，那我想国防军力还是以 我访本务为主。
But Taiwan's overworked nurses seem to welcome the idea.
其实一开始是希望都开放，在原来的医院就服兵役的。后来沟通的结果是说，他们要服兵役，还是要到军方，因为他们还是有一些军方要求的东西。低的估计，一年大概会有1400左右的护理师进到职场。
Hands-on experience could be good for conscripts hoping to pursue nursing. And for Taiwan's strained healthcare system, it would help alleviate a chronic, long-standing labor shortage. But for Taiwan's policymakers, it's all about balancing Taiwan's defense against the country's medical needs. John Su and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
A major new offshore wind farm on Taiwan's west coast is now in operation. The 640 megawatt project faced local protests and long delays. The country's green energy sector is facing an uphill battle as Taiwan struggles to reach its carbon emission goals. Just off Taiwan's southwest coast, the country's second largest offshore wind farm has just come online in Yunlin County, generating clean energy for 600,000 homes. Inaugurated after lengthy delays to much fanfare.
We have made it a goal to reach net zero emission by the year 2050. And offshore wind power generation is a very important plays a very important role. We have encountered many challenges, however, we are able to tackle them one by one.
This 640 megawatt farm of 80 turbines is a rare success story. The seas off Taiwan's west coast have some of the best conditions for wind farms in Asia, with a shallow seabed and strong, steady winds. Over the last decade, dozens of wind farm projects have been planned along this coast, and some have been built. But construction is now flagging. Taiwan's wind farm energy sector is facing serious headwinds, putting Taiwan's green energy goals at risk. Offshore wind farm construction is being hit by a perfect storm of a global downturn in the industry, government restrictions, and local pushback to large green energy projects. In Yunlin, years of protests and litigation by the local fishing community, as well as a fraud suit against protesting fishers by the wind farm manufacturers, delayed construction and sowed discontent.
建设完成的这个时间对当地的居民跟渔民影响最深的地方，就是目前我们在捕捞的时候就会常常遇到我们的一些像网具啊或是船只的受损。
Taiwan's government says more dialogue is needed with local communities to get them on side with green energy. But the clock is ticking. Taiwan is phasing out nuclear energy. The country's last reactor will go offline in 2 months. And green energy, like wind, will need to fill the gap if Taiwan hopes to be carbon neutral by 2050. International wind farm companies say they are keen to build, but the Taiwan government policies can be hard to navigate.
So I think there has to be a thorough look, and maybe together in a collaboration with the MOEA, with the industry, and to find out what are we doing with this, because it's slightly a mess. And we have been looking at and are looking at further opportunities to invest in Taiwan.
The government here is moving away from subsidies and incentives, hoping that wind energy can survive in the free market. Now it's an industry suffering serious growing pains. Taiwan, boasting good winds and a strong manufacturing base, had high hopes of leading the region in offshore wind energy. Many here now hoping it's not too late to turn the current trajectory around. Devin Tai and Rik Glauert in Yunlin County for TaiwanPlus. While Taiwan has a de facto embassy in the United States, Taiwan's two biggest political parties, the DPP and KMT, also maintain a presence in the US capital. But what do, and why does Taiwan need them? Leslie Liao went to Washington, D.C. to find out.
Shouting matches, thrown objects, and all-out brawls. Common sights in Taiwan's legislature between the country's two biggest political parties, the Democratic Progressive Party and the Kuomintang. The two sides often at odds over everything from ideology to policy. On foreign policy, though, the two parties take a similar approach, Without formal diplomatic ties, Taipei and Washington's relations are facilitated through the country's de facto embassy in the United States. And hoping to forge closer ties with their American allies, both the DPP and KMT also operate separate missions in Washington.
We're here to have a regular contacts with different circles in Washington, D.C., including the U.S. government, Congress, the academic circles, and also our diaspora communities.
Retired Ambassador Victor Qin is the Kuomintang's representative in Washington. He's been in the U.S. for nearly 2 years now, helping re-establish the KMT's presence in the U.S. Capitol after the party's previous liaison office shut down in 2008.
I really worry about Taiwan, especially after the tensions arises in the Taiwan Strait. And I think I can play a part in making sure that the American friends understand our situation, understand our needs.
At a time when China's ramping up its threats against Taiwan, Qing says he's fighting the perception that his party capitulates to Beijing.
If you look deep down into the situation, you realize that KMT is not only not pro-China, it's actually the party that started this democratization process in Taiwan that brought democracy to Taiwan. It is not pro-China at all.
And despite their differences, Qin says partisan fighting doesn't make it to the U.S. And the KMT and DPP can work together in Washington to represent the best of Taiwan.
We don't have to be arguing, fighting all the way. And I know, especially in Washington, D.C., we're representing major political parties of Taiwan. And we don't want our American friends to see us fighting all the time. So
now that we've met with the KMT here in D.C., we're going to head down the road to meet with the DPP.
Just a mile away, Iris Xiao heads the DPP mission in Washington.
The mission of DPP mission is simple. We invest, we align, we compete. Diplomat, because diplomats come and go every couple of years. But we were here, we have, for 11 years now, we have institutional memories.
While Taiwan's representative office carries out the country's formal diplomatic policies, Xiao's able to get closer to D.C. policymakers.
We help people in this town, in the Washington's policy community, to understand what's going on in Taiwan. And, you know, because the domestic politics, given it's really foreign and difficult for people to understand, even they follow Taiwan closely.
Xiao says her job is also about fighting misperceptions about her party's relationship with China.
We are also facing a growingly competitive war on narratives. In this town, the long conventional wisdom of DPP as provocateur for cross-strait relations.
Nothing separates the KMT and DPP more than their views on China. But when it comes to representing Taiwan in Washington, Xiao and her counterpart both agree. It's all about putting their best foot forward.
I was put on the same panel with my counterpart, KMT counterpart, a couple of times. We don't engage in friendly fire.
Both parties say they're doing what's best for Taiwan. Back home, it might seem like whenever one party comes up heads, the other is obligated to go tails. But here in D.C., the KMT and DPP are two sides of the same coin. Leon Lien, Laurel Stewart, and Leslie Liao in Washington, D.C. for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Here's What Happened. Finally, we take you to the German city of Mainz for the annual Rose Monday celebration, which features floats mocking politicians and world leaders. I'm Rik Glauert, take care, and we will see you next time.